Welcome to The Savory Scoop. This is a safe space where we talk about graceful living for women.
I am very excited to have my friend April Braider on today. April is a doctor of Oriental medicine, and we met in 2012 when we did an herbal course together. Yeah. Tell us about what you do, April.
Thank you. I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine, acupuncturist, and herbalist. And how I fell in love with Chinese medicine was many years ago. I ran Western medicine, occupational medicine programs, and I found myself that I had a health crisis, which was I was in renal failure. And so I found Chinese medicine back then, and it healed my kidneys over so many months.
Wow, that's so incredible. So I know Debbie, you've known her for so long, but I'm very new to Chinese medicine. And just you sharing your personal story, I mean, that's amazing. So someone like me who doesn't know much about Chinese medicine, I guess, what are the principles? Like what's the foundation of Chinese medicine?
Well, Chinese medicine has been around for thousands of years, and we know from the ancient text how old it is, and also with some of the artifacts. So when I was traveling with my husband to Amsterdam, I went into one of the oldest schools in the world, and standing right in the lobby is a gigantic poster, and it had an Iron Age acupuncture needle on it, and it was carbon dated back to 10,000 years. So it's tremendously ancient. And if you know anything about Otzi the Bogman, have you seen anything? It's on PBS or Nova. And they dug this ancient man up from the bogs, because of climate change, it's warmed. And they found out that this elderly man that was in the bog has acupuncture points on acupuncture meridians, tattoos. So he carbon dated back to 6,000 years.
Wow.
So it's a very ancient.
There's so much evidence, right?
Exactly. So much ancient evidence and precedence. But the interesting thing is Otzi was not Chinese.
That's interesting. Yeah. So when you went through, what was it, renal?
I was in renal failure, idiopathic, which the nephrologist that I had visited didn't know what the problem, why I was going into renal failure. But I had found a Chinese medicine physician that was also a board certified MD, and he helped me, and I took the herbal formulas, and within 3 months on the herbal formulas, my kidney function was totally normal, and it's been that way ever since. So it's about 28 years now.
That's incredible. And I know you have a personal story, right? Working with April.
Yeah, definitely. April is my go-to gal. I feel like anytime I have a problem, or my family or even friends or people I know, I'm always like, here's April's info. You're just so knowledgeable. There was a time in my life where I felt like I was in, what Western medicine would call like adrenal fatigue. And my symptoms were, I was just stressed. I had joint pain. I wasn't digesting properly. I had brittle hair. I wasn't sleeping well. I had brain fog. I was very tired and weak, and a whole laundry list of stuff. So I had also been through some traumatic things, and I messaged April, and she came over and did all of her little things that she does to diagnose me and to see what was going on with me. And I was eating a plant-based diet at that time, and she would always say to me, Deb, just eat one grass-fed beef meatball, just one on Wednesdays, just eat
try
one, or you're going to have all these autoimmune diseases when you get older. Like, I'll never forget you saying that to me. So I went and made an herbal formula for myself that she put together at the place where we studied herbalism, and started taking the herbs, and started drinking green tea and eating blood-building foods, which meant slowly reintroducing grass-fed beef into my diet, which I did little by little, and it just completely changed.
It's a game changer.
Complete game changer. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, bone marrow is so good, grass-fed organic bone marrow to build. It gives you new stem cells.
Yeah.
To be able to create new cells, because as we get older, what happens are, every day, or even young people, their old cells die. How to replace it? We need enough chi and energy, chi and blood in order to replace and heal.
Yeah.
That was going to
absolutely.
be my next question.
Yeah.
So, people, they've heard of Qi, right? When you're doing Tai Chi. So everyone knows in Ayurveda, there's prana, which is
Prana,
also
yeah.
energy. So how does Qi tie into Chinese medicine?
So the life force, the ATP of your mitochondria, the little thermonuclear reactors in there, that's chi. So we know from the herbal research now, which is advanced science, and also from the ancients, right? Things that build ATP and energy. So you see the Shaolin monks that can basically control their heartbeat, or they can melt snow when they meditate, or they can basically do unbelievably, miraculous types of things with their body for combat. So, and they heal quite twice as fast. It's because that they really garner chi, and they do these different qigong exercises, tai chi, to be able to build ATP, mitochondrial energy. And that's what the herbs do, and nutrition does the same thing. We're meant to eat food, nutrition, and herbs are just dense nutrition. That's what they are.
Yeah. That and yoga. So
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
I had like low chi. I needed to raise my chi. So yoga with some like qigong.
Yes, yeah.
And belly breathing.
Exactly,
That,
yeah.
along with the nutrition, just really, really helped to change my
Yeah,
life.
absolutely.
How long, so when someone like Debbie walks in and shares this, how old were you, Debbie, when you were going through this?
Oh, I want to say this was like eight years ago.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
Okay.
8 years ago.
Okay. So if someone like Debbie walks in, what would be like the first thing you would look for?
Well, we often do a very detailed intake, which is it's usually an hour, because in Chinese medicine we have to discover and uncover all these various manifestations and signs and symptoms. So we'll go through so many things, whereas a Western doctor, they usually see when with the research reports is 3 to 5 minutes. And then what happens is they'll actually interrupt the patient within 3 minutes in, where we take a very detailed history and we go deep down on what's going on. So we talk about bowel movements, we talk about, how do you sleep, we talk about what do you eat, what is your morning routine, and we go through to really uncover and understand exactly what's happening with the human being, and that way we know how to fix it. And then we also perform pulse diagnosis and then also tongue evaluation, because in ancient Chinese medicine it's really the only internal organ that anyone can see externally. So they've used it very well, very precisely for thousands of years to be able to understand what's really happening with the patient. So if the tip of the tongue is red, it indicates kind of heart heat. The sides are red, that's liver, right? Heat, liver, chi stagnation with heat. Phlegm is a coding. Phlegm can cause all types of problems with bowels, with digestion. So there's a myriad of diagnoses that you can really ascertain from these type of objective analysis.
Incredible.
It's very intimate.
And detailed.
Very
You need
intimate
to
and
each-
detailed.
Oh,
Yeah, and very detailed to each person.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then once you, sorry, I was going to
ahead.
ask, like, once you started the protocol, like, did you start to feel the difference, like, in a month or like 3
It's all,
months?
no,
Or was it
no, it's
a
all about
process?
consistency, and you have to be very like dedicated
Diligent,
to, and
yeah.
diligent and religious about it, because it took a long time to get that way. So you don't just heal like this. It's a process, and it takes a long time to heal as well.
Yeah, and the
So-
great thing is if you take the herbs on a consistent schedule, you'll find that patients will improve within a few weeks. Because that's what I notice with Americans. They want right now,
Yes.
immediate gratification.
Instant, yeah.
So if you just start shifting things, that you fix the microbiome, then you build on nutrition, and then you build with the correct herbal formulas based upon pattern, differential diagnosis. The patients go, oh, I'm sleeping better. I feel better. And you know what? I haven't needed any coffee or, the stimulants. So I don't need that sugar at midday.
Yep.
So those are things that occur. And the patient goes, my bowel movements are better. And, so you get excited with the patients, that will give you this wonderful feedback. And, well, listen, you're good to go. And they'll go, I have one thing left, April. Because the herbs fix so much, nutrition fix so much. And all of a sudden the dominoes start to come in together. And then it lends everything towards healing.
Yeah. So when you're consistent with the herbs, like let's say, like adaptogens, you're not going to feel it right away. It's after a couple of weeks. And I think it's very individual to the person as well.
Yeah,
It could
some
take a
people are
month.
really depleted.
Yeah.
Really
Right.
depleted. People go, whoa.
Feels
Yeah.
Okay, this is what normal feels like, or this is what
Yeah.
health feels like.
Yes.
Right? Can make it through the day. So long haul COVID, right? They have so many problems. Some of them can't get out of bed, whatever. You start them on all these beautiful things, clear viral load, do the things that you need to build chi in blood, fix the microbiome because they found out that they have bad bacteria in their
Yeah.
guts.
Yep.
So
Wow. I
Yeah.
should have came to you because, so I did get COVID in 2022 and then I was back to normal. Like I had it for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then I was back to normal. Within a month, I started to, like my entire body was inflamed. And I woke up one day and I couldn't walk. Meaning like my legs felt heavy. And I was someone who
Dampness.
did HIIT training. Yeah, like yoga. I was very, I never experienced aches and pain unless I hurt myself, you
Right.
know? So that was all new. Like my shoulder, like I couldn't lift my arms. And I went to the doctors. I probably went to like 4 or 5 specialists. They did metabolic panel testing. They did everything.
And that
they're
came
like,
out
"You're
normal,
fine."
right?
Yeah.
Ultrasounds and everything is normal. And I'm like, well, I don't feel normal.
Right.
You're totally fine one day and then you wake up in the morning and you feel like you're a completely different person's body.
Right.
So I didn't know what to do. And what I ended up doing was, and I wish I did this. So the only person I knew was the Ayurvedic. I didn't know Debbie at that time, but the only person I did know was Ayurvedic doctor in St. Pete.
Wonderful.
Dr. Soman, but I didn't go to him because for me, I was like under this impression that, okay, nothing's wrong with me, so maybe I just need to let it pass.
They often tell women there's nothing wrong
Nothing
with
wrong
them.
with you, right?
Oh, yeah.
So then eventually I started doing my own research and then I started listening to, like, this is on YouTube. I started listening to Dr. Eric Berg, I think his name. He's, is he a Chinese medicine? I'm not sure. He is, yeah, but he's not I don't believe he's an MD. But anyway, so he started talking about these long COVID symptoms because I
Correct.
kept telling the doctors, I think this is long COVID because this is really weird.
She knew.
Yeah.
But so I started listening to that, and he prescribed, he recommended supplements, like a few different supplements, and I took it, and literally like the next day, I told my husband, I'm like that weird sensation I was experiencing in my arms, the shooting pain. I couldn't lift my arms. Like it was actually within like a day or two, I started to feel a little difference. And then I kind of trusted it, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this and yoga because what I was prescribed was steroids.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like, I'm not taking. If you don't know the
very-
root cause, why am I going to take this?
And then not only that, but the damage, the impact and damage could be great.
Oh, yeah.
Diabetes, or all other, adrenal issues, all
Yes.
kinds of things. Yeah.
And then I was also prescribed and taking any of that nerve pain medication.
Gabapentin.
Yes. And then I finally just trusted restorative yoga and supplements, and then I started healing over time.
Perfect.
But I wish I knew, and and then I do want to talk to you about this too. A lot of people have this question, like, does medical insurance cover, Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine? From what I know, it doesn't. Right?
Some plans do. VA has their own acupuncturists that work at the VA. They're like salary full time.
Nice.
A lot of times they'll pay for acupuncture, but they won't reimburse to the level that, like, they'll maybe pay us $30, $40, which is not enough commensurate with the vast time we spend with patients. So what my patients pay, out of pocket for my services, because I really kind of specialize in difficult to treat diseases, autoimmune cancer, adjunctively, CKD, chronic kidney disease, asthma, COPD, like all the difficult stuff is what I treat. Yeah. That's what kind of seems to gravitate to me. I don't ever really get anything easy. So, which is fine, because I find it very challenging and amazing, to be able to bring people back from very serious, diseases, and see them being productive and happy and healthy again is just such a pleasure and just an incredible honor.
And imagine if someone had gone when the symptoms are just beginning, but then you just go to the doctor and get the prescription, suppress the symptom, right? Until it turns into who knows what.
That the root cause is never addressed. Yeah. So that's the true driving issue and force.
And that's something that we talked about earlier. Like, I listened to Dr. Peter Attia, and he talks about Western medicine now being medicine 2.0, which is, I don't know the exact words he used, but it's literally just, it's not healing. It's really just
Band-Aid.
Dealing.
Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It's a Band-Aid.
Dealing, right. So he was saying, like, medicine 3.0 has to focus on preventative medicine.
And disease
What's the root
intervention.
cause?
Yes.
Yeah.
Disease intervention and reversal. And that's kind of like where I hang my hat.
Yeah.
To be able to take those serious disease states and then start backing them off, backing them up. And then you'll see the patient come off their drugs one at a time. That's what I find. And there's the number one drug that patients should come off of immediately are acid reflux medicines, because it damages the way we digest.
Yes.
And the research is plentiful, and we have simple herbal formulas that work beautifully. You put like a Super Bowl team, or I say for women, a beautiful symphony into your belly to be able to help you transform chi, stop distension, right? Transform phlegm, descend the chi so you don't have acid reflux. We have many formulas for that work beautifully, and that way you don't have issues with distension, belly pain, acid reflux, and it'll help you transform where you're actually using the nutrients. But when the belly's deficient, you can't use anything, right?
The interesting thing, though, also to point out, is it's not one formula fits all either. It's so individualized because we're all so different.
So
Exactly.
true.
She's right.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, we often think like, if I go to a Chinese medicine doctor, I'm going to have to pay out of pocket. But I was just thinking this to myself, but then we buy like Amazon things like every day.
Exactly.
Right? There's like packages out the door. So if you like add up all the stuff, like it doesn't even come out,
and that doesn't
that's
help.
for your health.
Yeah, it's not exactly targeted.
Yeah.
So, that's the other thing is, I think it's important to think about. We have to invest in ourselves as women too. That's the other thing is I would rather forego something else.
Like 10 outfits or go
sure.
to.
Yeah.
Take care of my
And then you
health.
have that detailed analysis, because I think it's so important to not only tell patients, but they'll forget a lot what they hear. Remember, because the research on how we process information. So that's why I write an entire intensive care plan. And I put the supporting research there, because once they figure out, oh my God, this is what's possible, this works, then that way they know they make the leap of faith with you. They build a trust with you, a rapport, and then they go, okay, here's the literature, I know it works. So I'm fully all in. And basically you just take your herbs and supplements morning and evening, right? And then we fix the microbiome, and you eat a healthy meals during the day, and you exercise, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Right? So that's
Loving
basically how simple it is, as simple and difficult as it is.
So acupuncture, you talked about that. What is that?
So we have acupuncture, right? And we also have the herbal, the partners. So herbs work like acupuncture points, and acupuncture points work like herbs. So that's the beauty of the system. You know, it's dynamic, and it's very healing, you know, from all levels. So the acupuncture points, Western medicine have discovered there's actually pools of stem cells. From CAT scans, they found that generates brand new stem cells to help heal patients. Basically, you know, where our nerves run like an incredible electrical network, like we talked about ATP. And the interesting thing is that, like, it off gases. When they go to the real deep details, it really off gases down there to create new energy right in the acupuncture points. So we have acupuncture points to build build blood and chi, like master points, we'd say, below the belly, right, stomach 36. So we have various points to be able to help build and nourish patients that are very depleted. And we also have points that can actually drain too, like large intestine 11 would actually clear heat, so women have hot flashes. Or if you have eczema with a lot of heat manifestations as a rash, we can actually heal that, right, with just acupuncture. So you do them together, it's superior form of medicine because the herbs and the acupuncture work beautifully together.
I remember the first time I ever had acupuncture. I had severe allergies as a child, and I guess I had some type of like deviated septum or something, and it went on into my 20s. You know, it was the first time I had acupuncture, and I was just like, okay, something was going on with my allergies. I was just learning about changing my diet and all of the foods that were not good foods for myself. And my friend was going to see this acupuncturist, so I went and saw her, and she, you know, did all of her like detailed stuff she does, and she did the acupuncture on me, and I laid there, and it was like meditative. And when she took the needles out and I sat up, it was literally the first time I could breathe through both of my nostrils.
Yes, they open the channels up.
They opened the channels up, and I was like, wow, I need to learn more about this. So that was when I started to immerse myself into learning about like acupuncture and Chinese medicine. Yeah.
Very powerful stuff. And I even have another powerful story. One of my professors was a Tibetan monk, and he was an MIT professor, and he worked on the Mars Land Rover. And he went to see an acupuncturist just an off chance because he was always so stressed out, high stress. They did one acupuncture point, yin tong, on him, right? And he said he never felt so decompressed and so relaxed and peaceful in his entire life. He left his career at MIT, right, as a professor to go and study acupuncture and Chinese medicine, and he's now a monk, you know. Incredible professor, brilliant, wrote books on herbs, and phenomenal. Dr. Gaston, Robert Gaston. So just life-changing, right? Life-changing. And the principles are about healing self and taking care of yourself, balance in yin and yang. Yang's activity, yin is parasympathetic, where we rest, digest, heal, and repair. And we need balance in life, or we don't have health. It's fleeting, right? So
it is, especially with the diet now. So hormonal imbalance, a lot of women are dealing with that, especially as they're getting older, getting closer to 40, 50. Is there, if someone were to come to, I know you do the diagnosis and it takes much longer because it's very unique. Is there a supplement that every woman can take, like an herbal supplement that every woman can take that may support? I'm just curious for myself.
Well, barring any allergies, right? Because when we go through the intake, we make sure there's no allergies to drugs, pharma drugs, herbs, food, right? That's really critical.
That's why it's important to go to. You can't just order online and just take that.
Some herbs,
Yeah, and you want to make sure that the herbal formula, the whole symphony, or the football team, let's say, fits the pattern.
Yeah.
So yes, it balances hormones. There's tons of Western research because, Japan, China, the East does a lot of Western type of research that's published to demonstrate that it's really good at supporting women through hormonal imbalance. And remember, we have endocrine disruptors that are out in the environment, everything we touch.
Yes.
So all
put
this
on your skin,
and
everything.
you wash your clothes in or you bathe yourself in is highly conducive to causing hormonal problems. And then they often, medical Western docs, put women on the pill, right, to be able to prevent pregnancy, or if they have bleeding disorders or whatever it is, that's kind of what they're in their toolkit. So, that kind of changes the way the hormones, operate and work. So in Chinese medicine, we've used herbal formulas for thousands of years. And to be specific, so women without heat to nourish yin and supplement hormones would be Lu Wei Di Wang Wang. Lu Wei Di Wang Wang. But when as a woman has menopausal symptoms, where remember she's getting hot, she has hot flashes, so we would add some other herbs in her, Zi Bai Di Wang Wang, to clear heat, cool the blood, and tonify and nourish yin. So and then after women go through menopause, they often become what? Yin and yang deficient. And we have a classic formula we use that will tonify yin and yang for energy, right? But also clear heat, cool the blood, tonify to support a woman throughout their older years. Urshan Tong. So we have different formulas, really hundreds of them, to be able to hit what's going on with each woman specifically, but we have basic classics that we can modify. You put a football team together and then you need a wide receiver or a kick, whatever it is. Then you know that if you have to add a violin or an oboe or whatever, that you have the ability to customize formulas for women.
That was one of my symptoms. Was I knew something was wrong because I got my period after 17 days, and my period was all over the place.
Yeah, and so that to me is spleen qi deficiency manifestations. The spleen, that says energetics, hold the blood in the vessels. So we had to tonify or nourish and give her the ability to hold the blood in the vessels so she wouldn't bleed abnormally, right? And it usually takes about 1 month. That's what I find with patients. 1 month to be able to restrain it and hold it as long as they're taking the herbs at least twice a day.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and there's tons of literature to support. So I try to bridge East and West so I don't look, quacky. So that way
and isn't that sad that even if you do, you have research in Eastern medicine, you still need Western medicine research to get, I'm sure the peer reviews things, or maybe the way things are done are a little bit different. But I always go back to, mindfulness, the word mindfulness and mindfulness meditation, now it's mainstream, right? But people have done it for thousands of years, talking about the benefits, and people are not ready to have that subjective experience. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to sit down and breathe and see what happens if I do that for 5 months. Right? So it's once you have that subjective experience, you're like, okay, this works.
Yeah, most definitely.
Right? So it's but now we're in this mindset of, this pill has been, clinical study has been done, that, and then so I'll just take this, at least I'll feel better.
And I notice
but nothing is cured.
I notice many people will buy all kinds of supplements, going to do this, that, and the other thing. They're like, no, not really. Sometimes it can really exacerbate a symptom.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you get it right. Differential diagnosis is really an art and a science. And if you get it right, it's a beautiful thing. It's like a beautiful journey because they feel so much better. Yeah. Women, men, children, elderly people, animals, so it's, that's how Chinese medicine basically started as farmers. They watched the animals, and they figured out, oh my goodness, well, we're part of the system, we're part of this, incredible system that's given us all we need to heal. And that's where our first herbal drugs came from, and then later on pharma, which now pretty much predominates the entire field, but it doesn't solve there's no solutions, it really doesn't solve any problems.
No, a lot of the chronic illnesses,
it makes it even worse. Or they have to be on 3, 4, that's what you notice with the system. The system gets used to it, overcomes it again, and they have to be on other three antihypertensive drugs.
Let's talk about on another episode how you can literally walk around outside in a yard that has not been treated and find medicinal, traditional healing herbs, which most people would call weeds.
Yeah.
That will be a very good one.
Okay, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm
Great.
excited. I've heard of grounding, but that would be a really great
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
And what I love about this, the reason I got so excited, April, like when Debbie told me, you know, that she worked with you, is you have a personal story, and that story, you know, made you want to help other people who are probably dealing with things that the doctors seem to say, oh no, you're fine, or there's nothing, we don't know what to do, right? And then you have your personal story, and I'm so grateful that I actually got to meet you, and I'm grateful to you that you introduced us.
And I'm grateful to you ladies as well.
yeah,
Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom.
You're welcome.
and-
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, April. I think this is a beautiful thing. We're going to be talking about a lot more stuff, hopefully.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you,
yes.
ladies.
I learned so much today. And if you would like to just share your details for those who are listening, where they can find you.
My website is www.healthypathwaysplural.com. Thank you.
And you're located in St.
Pete
Petersburg,
Beach.
right?
Yes, St. Pete
Beach,
Beach,
Florida. Okay.
Thank you.
So I know that was a lot of information, but we're definitely going to have April back to talk about a lot more things, because we have been talking about a lot of amazing things, and each topic really has like a whole conversation about it.
Absolutely. If you have comments, please be sure to leave us the comments below. And if you have any suggestions for topics, you can email us at connect@thesavoryscoop.com. And you can also find us on social media at The Savory Scoop.
Be sure to like and subscribe, and make sure you check out April at healthypathways.com.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So grateful.